act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Thank you. Next thing up is the public comment. We'll limit this to 3 to 5 minutes if anybody has any public comment this evening. Okay. Not hearing any, not seeing any, we'll move on. First item is with, we have Carl Byers with Bolton and Mink to discuss the FAA grant. Mr. Dunt.
Thank you, Mayor. So Carl is on with us. First, I'll check audio. Carl, are you able to hear us, and can you please talk? Okay, just a second, Carl. We're going to make an adjustment here to see if we can hear you.
Must be the weather coming in.
Can you try and talk now, Carl? Nothing. Carl, could you could you zoom in on your cell phone, if possible? Otherwise, call my cell phone. Carl? Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Well, we'll be able to make this work. So I'm going to just say a few words first, and then I'll turn it over to you, okay? All right. So at the airport, we have two underground fuel tanks that serve aircraft. We have a 100 low lead tank that is 6,000 gallons. We have an 8,000 gallon Jet A fuel tank, which basically we don't utilize much. We're currently leasing that to Doug Prowley for his use. The tanks have been in the ground for a number of years. A few years ago, we put in our airport CIP, Capital Improvement Plan, to do a fuel farm project. So basically remove the underground fuel tanks due to their age, and then put in above the ground fuel tanks. A couple things. The age of the tanks, underground tanks, are a concern, and then also the city of Hampton has a drinking water well about 300 feet away from these fuel tanks. And so there's always a concern in the back of our mind that should one of the tanks leak for some reason, and the fuel make its way to our water well, that wouldn't be good. And so we put it in our airport CIP. It was down the list a little bit. This fall, Andy in our water department, they conduct monitoring tests periodically. There's holes drilled in the ground. It's kind of a simple technique, but they drop in, there's a little cup on a string, and they drop it down each of the 4 holes, and they pull up groundwater down there, and then they smell it and look at it, and if there's any questionable issues or things they're questioning, they send it to the lab for testing. Well, this fall, they sent a sample to the lab because they felt it was just a little off. So there were some lab tests done, and it turned out that there was a higher than normal reading for total TPH, which is total petroleum hydrocarbons, TPH as gasoline. So that caught our attention and was a little concerning to us. So decided to do another sample, and did another sample, and it came back also with higher than normal readings. We contacted the DNR. We worked with the DNR. Basically, the DNR said that it's called toluene, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, was detected, but all of the OA1 sampling results were beneath their Tier 1 target levels. They do not regulate, the DNR does not regulate TPH. They suggested we have tightness testing of our tanks. So we proceeded to have tightness testing of the tanks. So over time, so this is happening over a few months. We hired a company to come in and do testing, And so this company determined from their test results that the tanks are not leaking. So that's good. But we feel like it's time to bump up this project to the top of the list for an FAA grant-funded project. This type of project is eligible for FAA funds, which we receive. Carl can talk a little bit about maybe a cost estimate of what we're looking at. I've been talking with Jay Schuman, our airport manager. We feel with the low sales of Jet A, we don't really need to have a Jet A tank. So we would remove the old tanks as part of the project, and then we would only replace one tank above the ground that would be 100 low lead, which is what gets used most. One side note is the actual removal of underground storage tanks is not a covered expense of FAA funds. So we would have to do that on our own. But I am now going to turn it over to Carl Byers with Bolton & Mink, our airport consultant firm, and he's going to expand a little bit and answer any questions that you might have.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I apologize that we didn't get the sound worked out through Zoom, but oh, great.
No, Carl, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now, so go ahead.
My call failed all of a sudden.
I just hung up on you. I should have told you.
Okay, I was going, oh no, I got lost. Well, Ron said several things that I was going to say, but we've been looking for years that you have underground tanks, and for the last, well, I've been doing this for almost 40 years, and I have not installed an underground tank. I've done a lot of fuel farms. We go with above ground, basically because you don't have the concerns with, I mean, not saying they couldn't leak down the road, but you can catch it before you detect it in the ground. Everybody's going to the above ground tanks, and so we've been talking with the airport for some years that when it was time to replace these, we would recommend going with above ground tanks. You have money saved up. We had applied for a grant, or actually applied for a grant with the FAA to fund to replace both tanks, and then, as Ron has already mentioned, in subsequent talks, there's just not enough jet fuel sales to probably justify the expense of replacing the jet tank. This is a good year to do it because for this year, it's the last year that the FAA is funding at 95% with only a 5% local match, as opposed to 90% with a 10% local match. So by doing it in fiscal 26, which we just started here a couple of months ago, you actually would save half of the local match for waiting. So the thought was to move ahead with that, and then the test results came back, and as Ron noted, although it's below the levels that the DNR would regulate or required anything at this time, they kind of agreed, well, if you've been thinking about it anyway, this might be a good time to replace that tank and pull the tanks out of the ground. Although the FAA does not fund the removal of tanks, there is a potential funding mechanism through the DNR to pull some tanks. I think Joe has talked with you about that, Ron, that I think it's a one-time fund for about $15,000 of assistance to pull some old tanks. So once again, it's much cheaper to remove old ones underground if you don't have to do much or any remediation when you pull those. So it's better to do it before they start leaking and contaminating surrounding soil and potentially migrating to any groundwater or water sources. What we would be looking at would be an above ground tank for aviation fuel. When we had applied for the FAA, we thought that for both tanks, both systems and everything, that the total project would be around $1 million. By dropping the jet fuel, it doesn't cut it in half because you still have electrical that would be the same whether you do one or two tanks. You still have a number of bollards that it doesn't decrease it by very many. You have testing and startup and mobilization, but a estimate is that it would drop the federal eligible portion from $1 million. My guess right now is in the 650 to 700 range. Would be how much we would save by not adding a second tank and the fueling system for the jet. And again, that's at 95% federally funded, so 5% local match on I'm trying to think, we would look also, one of the things that we would consider, and again, we haven't done design yet, we're just hopefully getting started, but would be the size of the tank. Right now, with a 6,000 gallon tank, when you order fuel, you have to order what's called a split tank. You order a partial load, and partial loads, you pay a premium of somewhere, it varies by provider, but somewhere probably 20 to 50 cents a gallon you pay extra to have them split the load. And most of that's in transportation because they charge you transportation for a full load, even the full load cost, even if you're only getting half a load. So we would probably look at a little bit larger tank. And then Ron, I don't know if you were able to share any photos, but we would have and new pumps and piping, and then we would of course have bollards protecting everything. And you have what is typical right now is dual-walled steel tanks with the inner tank epoxy coated for additional longevity. The dual wall means that if the inner tank leaks, rusts out, or springs a leak, you should be able to catch it in the space, the interstitial space between the tanks before it gets out. I did send some photos, and I don't know if you shared that there's a possibility you could put a concrete curbing around it if there was a real concern. But when you have dual-walled tanks, unless you're transferring fuel from fueling trucks, you don't need to have that secondary or containment of having another concrete wall around the lower part of the tank. So we probably won't need that. But I think we think that it's very timely. I mean, I don't think it was a sign, but I think before, when we got those test results back, it is a thing that says, hey, let's not wait for worse test results to come back before we go ahead and kick this off. And if we waited, then also that your local costs would double when we finish this fiscal year. Ron, are there any other items you'd like me to cover?
I don't believe so. We'll just open it up for council questions.
Mr. Lamos?
Yes, are those pressure tested or how are they tested?
Do you mean when you tightness tested your existing tanks?
Yes,
I would assume so, but we didn't do that testing. Ron, do you know when you had them tightness tested? I think they are, but I don't know.
I believe it was because, well, one of the seals, the manhole seals on the Jet A tank, was not sealing it tight enough for the test, so we had to replace the seal, and then they came back. So I think it is a pressure test.
what kind of construction are they now? Are they steel or fiberglass? And what's the gallons of them?
Well, I believe they're fiberglass and they're 6,000 gallons each, aren't they, Ron, or 6 and 8?
Are you talking the new ones or the old ones,
The
Barry?
new ones.
The old
The-
ones.
the-
I mean,
we're
excuse
talking
me.
the new ones, Carl.
Oh,
The old ones, I'm sorry. The ones that are in the ground now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
let me, as we're talking, I may see if I can figure out how to look that up.
New ones are steel, of course.
Yeah, the new one will be double-walled steel.
From the picture, we have those two red
Yeah.
rectangles. Where would the new pumps go? Right in the middle of those?
Well, that's what Bolton and Mink would work on for design, where the new tank would sit, where the new pump would sit. So that is yet to be determined. In the same vicinity, though. We're not proposing to move it across the
What's the depth of them?
depth of these tanks.
The old tanks?
Yeah, I'm not sure of that. Carl, how deep would they have buried these 30, 40 years ago?
Yeah, typically the tops of the tanks are only a couple feet below the ground. I have not seen or aware of any plans that show when those were installed, but that would be typical. You bury them because then there's you have access from the top through a manhole type situation, and then you have a couple of feet a riser from the tank up to the surface.
So you talked about a cement wall for containment. How much extra would that add to the project?
Well, we could bid it as an alternate if we're interested, but I would guess you're probably talking maybe $20,000 to $30,000 to go ring around it. Because we have to pour a slab to carry the tank anyway, to hold the tank. And this would just be almost like a curb, built-in curb around it.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit more because we typically, what you do if you decide to have that extra containment is you will have it drain towards one corner. You'll put an actual valve on the outflow that when you're transferring fuel, or you can leave it closed, or you can leave it closed all the time. And after rains, you check to make sure there's no sheen on the water that's collected there. And if it looks clear, then you can empty it out. If there's some sort of a sheen, you got some sort of there was either a leak or in transfer, or somebody spilled something or whatever, and then you can clean it up before it ever leaves that. So there is a valve, but I'm guessing top of my head, I'd say maybe 25-30,000 maybe.
I think that
And
would,
again, it'd be 5% local match, and that would be eligible if we did that.
that would be I think as long as we're doing it, it would be a good idea. That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Davies?
I believe it was said that removing the tanks would not be able to be covered by the FFA grant. Do you have an approximate cost of what it would take to remove the tanks?
I apologize, I don't have an accurate cost, but I would guess, assuming we don't have contamination, my gut feeling is $30,000 to $40,000. And of course, we would try to get the DNR grant to cover a portion of that.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
All right. And Mr. Palmer?
So Carl, what you're saying is on this curb and gutter type of situation, in one of the corners, you'd have more or less a fancy sump pump.
That's a kind of a good way to describe it. It's a sump, like a sump pit, except it's surface. It doesn't, nothing's piped underground. It's all surface run into that. But you slope the slab slightly to one corner, and then you have a low spot with the drain that outlets somewhere. Whether it's your slab would be built up enough that you could empty that after the fact, but you do have a valve so it just doesn't run out on the ground.
Okay, thank you. I guess I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, is the Jet A fuel, is that the one that Doug uses?
Correct.
What are his feelings on this?
I haven't talked to him about it.
All right. Any other questions for Carl? For Mr. Dunt, what's the next step on this one? We need
Well,
to
we just
kinda-
wanted to present this
Yep.
to the council, and if the consensus is to continue moving forward, Carl, what would the next steps be?
Well, we had a meeting with the FAA already. So the next steps would be we'd put together our agreement for design services and get them to you. We would design this winter, bid it in the spring, and then when we get bids and know the exact costs, then we would apply for the actual formal grant from the FAA because they require actual costs. And in the meantime, we can work with the DNR to look into getting the grant or some assistance on the removal of the old tanks.
Okay.
I was just going to mention, time frame wise, the grants are typically issued in the summer after we apply for them, no later than May 1st, or right around May 1st. Grants would be issued in the summer, and then a contractor would get all of their submittals on tanks and all of that done, and then it would be up to them in terms of cash flow. If you wanted to push it off to 27, we can just put it in the plans and specifications that construction shall be in this year, which pushes off some of the expenses. My expectation would be that if you didn't limit them, that they would come in next fall and do pull the old tanks, do the underground work, pour the concrete, and set bollards and everything as the tanks. They're waiting for them to be manufactured, and then when they show up, they can set them in place and do the piping. And sometimes that is often even done in the winter if they get all the underground and the concrete work done in the fall.
Thank you. I think that, my personal opinion there is I think that we should probably move forward with this because if there's something showing up now why wait until we have a catastrophe before we do something with our fuel? It's gonna cost a lot more if we have a spill. So, I mean, I think if everybody's in agreement, I think we should probably move ahead with this and get some stuff happening, grants and design and stuff like that, so. I think we're good with that.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
we'll do that. Thank you, Carl, for your input and your knowledge.
Well, thank you, everyone. I apologize that we had a little bit of a technical here. I don't know if it was on my end or, but at least we were able to get where I could hear everyone. So
Yep.
Sorry for hanging up on you, Carl.
I apologize I couldn't be there this evening. I have I have a shoulder replacement coming up later this week, so every doctor in Cedar Rapids wants to see me before I have that replacement, I think. I've had enough appointments.
Well, that sounds like fun, so you enjoy that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Next item up is for the lack of a better term, chickens. This is for livestock ordinance. And I just wanted to remind everybody, we kind of really need to get a list going, put tonight. I mean, it needs to start moving. So that's our purpose tonight, to get one list. That's where we want to be. We need to get it to our attorneys so they can review that. Once they've reviewed it, then it'll come back to us, of course, so we can discuss it and cuss it some more. And then once we get through that, we can move it forward for an ordinance amendment and get things going. So having said that, we got two iterations right now. What Ron and I had done, each on our own, and then kind of put it together, is went through and we looked at a lot of our research that we've done, the discussions that have been we've had, went back and listened to some of our meetings to make sure that we're not missing something. So we came up with a list of items that we think should be on here, and we took from our original draft and kind of line some things out, and I think everybody here's got a copy of that. And then Jerry has done some research as well, and when I put the two together, they're really close. I mean, there's a lot of, pretty much everything that's on Ron and I's is on this. There's some extra stuff on here that, in my opinion, we don't really need, but that's up for you guys. It's up to you guys to figure out what you want in there. So we got Ron and mine's, we got Jerry's, and then we got this one. If all else fails, we're going to this one. We ain't doing nothing. You got chickens, you're gonna take care of them, and we're gonna go. So I'll just run through Ron and I's first, as quickly as I can. Bear with me, and then we'll kind of put that against Jerry's, and then we'll open this up for discussion again, and let's get this taken care of. So one of the items that we had was, of course, the minimum 2 acres, residential rule use property only, chickens restricted to an fenced-in enclosure, similar to what the diagram that Pat shared with me our 2 weeks ago. We've struck through the coops must be in a fenced closure. We took that out because that's this other. As long as we've got a run that's hooked to the coop, we're covered there. Chicken coop and fence enclosure should be located at the rear of the property. If enclosure minimum of 100 feet from neighboring dwellings, 25 feet minimum from any property line. Hens only, no roosters. How many hens? We had settled on 8. It's kind of a compromise, right? let's go to the middle and call it 8. No eggs from the egg sales from the property. We struck that because a few people decided that we probably really don't need those. No check-ins inside in your dwelling. No nuisance device violations in 12 months. Any violation would be first offense would have your permissions revoked, along with if there's any, if it's a animal at large, would be a fine with that. Say we said maybe one year permit, which kind of lines up with our dogs. Should be a permit, $10 a year. No refund of permit fee if the permit is revoked. And then we took out the part about the four square feet of floor area and stuff, because that's kind of getting into some, you guys know how much room your chickens need to have. So I don't know that we need to have that in there. We took out the adequate for all four seasons of weather, because I'm pretty sure you're going to take care of that as well. The coop and the surrounding area should be kept clean, and amendment and attempt to prevent attacking pests. That's all covered under that chapter 1555-14. So we really don't need that in another ordinance. And then we also, the same for the rodent-proof containers. And then we took out the slaughtering of chickens by state law. Don't know that we need to have that in there because the state law should cover this. And that the city was not liable for injury or death of chicken. And of course, death of a chicken is not sufficient grounds for an animal being vicious. That'll be made up when we do the vicious animal type thing. So that's the end of our list. Jerry, do you have yours? Can you go run through yours real quick?
Sure.
And you'll see the similarities, and then we'll,
What I did was I did bring several submissions together, tried to marry them all together, and hopefully it does cover our basics. But first, despite general restrictions, residents are allowed to keep domestic chickens in all residential zoning districts, provided the following requirements and applicable city ordinances are met. However, and I do think this is important, if the presence of chickens becomes a public nuisance or threatens the health, safety, peace, quiet, comfort, or enjoyment of nearby residents or businesses, the permission to have those chickens may be revoked. And I think that is giving you the right to have the chickens, but also giving your neighbors the right to disagree with that. And if it becomes a problem for them, that gives us a way that we can revoke that permit. The permit must be acquired before even bringing chickens onto the property. The permit can be attained at City Hall for a fee of, and I put either $10 or $20 because we hadn't quite agreed on how much that fee was going to be. But then another important point was brought up. We charge our residents $5 per dog. Should we consider a fee per chicken instead of just a flat fee of 10 or 20 bucks? Something for us to think about. And I still believe that if a resident applies for a permit, the zoning officer has to go out and inspect that to assure that they are ready to take care of chickens appropriately. I still think the zoning officer could give permission for the permit. I don't understand why the city council has to be involved in that. We're going to hear about it. We're going to know who has chickens. So I just don't know why we have to spend the time reviewing that when I have perfect faith in our zoning officer. Another thing with the permit is that we need to keep in mind is if the property is sold, that permit is non-transferable. to the next tenant. Inspection guidelines for permit approval that they have to pass first. No nuisance violations within the 12 months prior to submitting the application. Agreed with you, Steve, on that. The city lot must be at least 2 acres in size to qualify. Rental properties are not eligible for consideration. Maximum permissible number of chickens. We were going with 6 hens. If we want to go with 8, okay. Roosters are not allowed. I was a little disappointed in the number of chickens because we started off with, we got 8 chickens, we got 9 chickens. And then the last meeting we had, all of a sudden it went up to, no, we should be allowed to have 10 chickens and so on and so forth. And I'm just kind of wondering where we're going to draw that line. The chicken coop must be a standalone structure. Looking at Doug's outline that he gave us on sheds and things that we get permits for. So it should not be a lean-to structure, and it should be in the rear yard of the residence. The coop must be situated, and I put between 10 and 25 feet because we really hadn't determined that yet, from any property line. I did measure out 10 feet and 25 feet. You can walk 10 feet and 8 steps. That's pretty close to somebody else's property, I think. 25 feet is about 14 or 15 steps. So I think 25 feet is realistic. But again, for something for us to agree on. And at least 100 feet from neighboring dwellings, and that is in every ordinance that I read, 100 feet. There, it was. Chicken coop must provide 3 to 4 square feet of floor space per bird. And I think that is important to have that in there. We have, if we're going to inspect to see if they're ready for chickens, we got to make sure that they've set up right, because we do want to safeguard the life of these chickens. We want them to be brought into a humane situation. So all the material that I read, some said 3 feet per chicken, some said 4 feet per chicken. So we have to determine that. The coop has to be well ventilated, well drained, offer adequate protection against all weather conditions, and ensure access to a daily source of fresh water. And the chicken run must be fully enclosed, provide 8 to 10 square feet per chicken, be well drained, and be designed to prevent entry by other animals. Okay, that's the first things they got to do to pass inspection to obtain a permit. Once a permit is granted, then these are the things that we expect from our chicken owners. Residents must allow inspections by the code enforcement officer without prior notice. Chickens must remain confined to the coop and run. Free-ranging or keeping chickens inside the home is not allowed. The chicken coop must be used exclusively for chickens, no ducks, no geese, no ganders, chickens. The coop, run, and surrounding area must be kept clean, sanitary, and free from excrement and objectionable odors. Eggs should be collected daily. That's another thing to avoid, what do I want to say? To attract pests or other critters, yeah. Fecal waste must be double bagged or worked into the garden soil within 24 hours. Chicken feed must be stored in rodent-proof containers. And I do think that's important to have so that we aren't encouraging rodents. Slaughtering chickens and selling eggs are prohibited. Compliance with the city noise ordinance is required. And the city is not liable for the death of a chicken caused by other animals, whether they're licensed by the city or not. And if a dog would get into the chicken area and kill one of your chickens, that doesn't make the dog vicious. If permit conditions are violated, the permit is revoked on the first offense. All chickens must be removed from the property, and the permit fee will not be refunded. And another point that was brought in, that person may not reapply for a minimum of 2 years for a permit. If the property is newly annexed, the owner or possessor of the chickens has 90 days from the date of annexation to bring the property into compliance with these regulations. It's not a huge, big, long thing. It's only 2 pages long. I do think it's pretty short and simple, and I do think it covers all our bases.
Couple of things, to call my thoughts. The consent of city council, I think that needs to be in there. I think we need to provide the consent. If we take that out of the ordinance, then it says it's unlawful to have livestock, which includes chickens. You're out. There's no avenue to have it an exception.
Can't we take that off of there, except by? I mean, aren't we covered when we put this in here, that you can have chickens, but here's what you gotta do?
But we can't without written consent from the city council. If we say you got them and you gotta follow these rules, now pretty soon, here we go again.
Okay,
We're opening up
I'm-
that Pandora's box
Okay.
again, and we just wanna be careful with that.
And the next thing you know, we're gonna say, oh, I didn't know he had chickens. Wait, where'd that come from, you know, because then we didn't know. So,
So
We
that's
would
just-
know.
That's just
Our
my,
code enforcement officer would keep us up to date on that. Anyway,
I think the other one, the permit one is city council versus code enforcement as well. The 3 to 4 square feet of floor space, my take on that is, we're not the ASPCA. You know, so we're not governing the welfare of the chickens. The owner's gonna do that. Right? Or we can have the APS, all that, come in and look at it. I don't know that we wanna get into that stuff as a council.
but do we not want to make sure that the dwellings are appropriate? We don't want them just slapping together.
Yeah, it's up to you guys. I mean, where do you want it? I mean, there's a lot of things we can do with it. The coop being run, you know, clean and sanitary, that's covered with that 555-14 ordinance. Rodent proof containers is covered. Up to you guys. Let's open it up to what do you guys want? We need to come up with what do we want to govern? What do we want to watch? And
the first thing I saw in A was, I thought, wait a minute. I read A twice, and I thought, wait a minute, you took out the 2 acres. Well, then I saw 2 acres a little later on.
Yeah.
Because this gave me false hope I could have chickens in my yard.
Yeah.
But, and then I saw later it was 2 acres, so
Yeah.
if that could be retweaked. I'm sure, you know, once a lawyer looks at all this and compares it
Right.
to
Exactly.
city code,
Yeah,
they're
this is
gonna.
just our start.
Yeah, this is our start.
draft,
Yeah, This is
basically.
our second start. So I don't have a problem with any of this. I'd go with eight chickens, but that's just me. You're always gonna have that person who ignores the safety and doesn't double bag their poop and doesn't care to work it into the soil. You're always gonna have people who don't care. And I guess that's where code enforcement comes in, and that's you always have to have a bad example.
Yep.
No matter if it's this or dogs or cats, I mean, you always have to have a bad example. And so I'm just hoping that we put our best foot forward as chicken owners and people who care about animals to do that, so.
And I-
Go ahead.
I guess with this, what I was, ongoing requirements, so we have your neighbor come and complain about the chickens to us. We have something to look at, something to use as a guideline. Well, yeah, but you haven't done this or this, you know, and this is what we require to keep your neighbors happy, to keep everything clean and sanitary. I think that's more important for us for a guideline. It makes our lives a lot easier. We can just look at this and say, well, you are in violation of the city code.
Okay, I think I did quite on the last item, the newly annexed, if you're annexing you order bought another lot or something, is it part of your property or is it a different property, stuff like that? If it's part of your property, it should be covered in what you have
Yeah.
in place.
Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of ways you can go with this. We want to come down to a clear, concise, workable list. And bottom line, we want it simple and we want it uniform. Everybody's doing the same stuff. So, anybody else?
Are we sending both of these copies to the lawyer?
If we,
So they
we'd
can-
like to get to one list before we send it to the lawyer. We shouldn't have to pay them to look at it. We know what we want. I wouldn't do that. That's my opinion.
So would I be wrong to assume that raising chickens would be considered hobby livestock? Because when I look in it talks about hobby livestock, and it says the Board of Adjustment shall adopt the rules and regulations regarding the conditional use of hobby livestock. And so I'm wondering if we could put together what we would like and send it to the Board of Adjustment and then come back and say, here it is. Isn't that their job to come up with the rules and regulations as far as,
See, yeah, I think it is, but you gotta, if you put hobby in the, now what? Now, we still don't allow chickens.
yeah,
So
that's
we'll-
why I'm asking
yeah.
if this is considered a
Yeah.
hobby livestock operation.
I don't,
I don't know that
Good
hobby livestock is defined. I'd have to check on that, Bill, if
Okay.
it's defined in our code.
yeah,
And it's gonna be the same lawyer looking at it either way.
yeah. So I looked at your list from our last meeting, Bill, you had 4 items, which I thought, well, there we go. If everything else is covred, let's do these 4 and be done. Well, then you get to looking at it, well, maybe this, that. It's up to you guys. What do you want?
I think the simpler the better.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we get too many variables in there, then it just is gonna get, it just takes off.
I don't think they're variables. This is our expectations. And this is something for us to follow as a guideline. Okay, did they pass inspection? Did they do this, this, this? Okay,
Right.
now we got somebody complaining about chickens. Are they in compliance or are they not in compliance? I think it makes it easier for us. I'm coming from the medical world and writing policies and procedures, and if it's not in there, you ain't got nothing to fall back on, You write a policy on how to insert an NG tube and you miss a step,
Yeah.
I mean-
That ain't good.
you have to write it
Yeah, and
so that they can follow it.
I think, a lot of this stuff in the number 3, ongoing requirements, it's stuff that our code enforcement, Doug, is gonna look at anyway. Do we need to spell it out for him, or does he know his job? Stuff like that. It's a nuisance is a nuisance in my book. Whether they stink, whether they got shit everywhere, whatever they got. It's a nuisance is a nuisance to me.
I understand, but some people live in a nuisance and it's just fine with them. So
Yep.
nuisance is different to everybody.
Right? Right? So we gotta stick to chickens.
I guess, I think what I'd like to see is one document, and doing so, I think we should go with the maximum amount of information, like use Jerry's if that's the case, but then could we compile a list of where the differences are, like the number of chickens, so then we can decide on a number and then put that in that final document, and then review the document again, that if there's anything we want to delete. I'd rather start with everything, and then if we want to drop it out, then pull it out, if that makes sense.
It does.
It does.
But I think we need to get down to one document, and again, I think let's find out like where those differences, like number of chickens or whatever, and then we can decide that, and then put that in that final document, and then review the document. And then would that document need to go to like to planning and zoning or whatever the other, have them review it then, or is it just strictly stay with us?
Council.
Okay,
Council.
okay,
So.
thank you.
Kind of to piggyback on what Jim said, so I guess the first thing we need to discuss is which permit fee are we gonna have, $10 or $20? So, to me, it'd be $20,
Or do you make them pay per chicken?
or you make them pay per chicken. But I think the structure, no matter what the chicken fee is, if you even have a chicken fee, I think that $20 would be a standard. I don't wanna have the girls in the office going, well, what do we have today, 7, 8, 6,
Right.
4?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think we need one permit.
one
fee.
standard permit fee, and I would go at $20.
$20 should cover it. What else we got?
It'd be the number of chickens.
How many
was-
chickens? They wanted 6, we wanted 10, we wanted 8. We've threw down 8 as a compromise at the middle of the road. Is everybody good with that?
I'd go with 8.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
8 chickens.
8 hens.
Yes, hens only, sorry. Takes us to a whole nother realm.
Can we go back to permit? Do you
Yep.
want 2-year or 1 year? From a staff perspective, 2 years would be better, just then we wouldn't have to deal with it as often, but I can also see if you want to do 1 year, I just want to, might as well decide that
Do we
right
want
now.
to keep it the same as dogs, which is every year, or?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Doesn't matter. I think 2 would be, if we're gonna do $20, do 22 years for chickens. Just me, anybody else? Go ahead.
2.
Oh, 2. I thought you were
No.
Peace.
We get
just waving at
too
me.
too many rules. It's like
Okay.
micromanaging.
I know it, that's why we wanna keep it simple and uniform. Oh, what else we gotta work out? Say, egg sales, no egg sales. Anybody got a problem with that? I mean, I think, Jerry, you have it yours and yours. But yet you've provided arguments against it last meeting, so what, do we sell chickens or eggs to our families and farmers markets and whatever you want to do?
I thought we came to the conclusion, no egg sales from our last meeting.
Well, we had that, but then we had the farmers market, they don't need a permit
And then
for
we
that.
also decided with 6 chickens, 8 chickens, you're not gonna have enough eggs to sell.
Right.
They don't produce that much.
So do we need to put it in there, or does it not to be in there?
Well, I don't know, you're the one that had it in yours.
It's been in every one that we've done so far.
And I agreed with you.
I'm not writing this, I'll tell you that right now. This is you guys' baby.
I think we need it. I don't think we need to sell eggs at the farmer's market.
So you want to state no egg sales?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
no eggs.
and then what about slaughtering?
Can't do that.
We could keep that, I would keep that in there, just because people will be doing it on their front porch and stuff, and neighbors will be watching, and then we'll have a problem, so. Yeah, the feed and the chicken coops and the keeping it clean, that's all covered in our current ordinances, 455.14. So we really don't need all that stuff in there.
Can we go back to where the coop is situated? Have we decided? 10 feet, 15 feet, 25 feet from property line?
I'd say 25.
And what does everybody think?
I'd do
15?
25.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, yeah. Go with that.
And then 100 feet from other dwellings?
Many other dwelling,
Okay.
yep, yep. What about floor space per bird? That's something we need in there. Do our 3 people that we know have chickens know what they're doing, and, or do we need to spell it out?
Or we could, do you want to just leave it 3 to 4 square feet and 8 to 10 square feet per bird in the coop and then in the run?
I think we either gotta go 4 to 10.
4 to
or
10?
3 to 8. I don't think we wanna leave a range in there. I
Okay.
think it's gotta be a size,
Minimum,
yeah, minimum
Minimum.
size, yep.
minimum 4 square feet per bird in the coop.
Yeah.
I don't know what the coop square feet are, so.
And then 10 in the run?
I think the 10, the run, kind of Ron's, mine Ron's on number 3, talked about a fenced enclosure, maximum of 400 square feet.
Which is basically a run, I'm assuming,
Is
fenced
that
in
big
area.
enough to run chickens? If you got 8 chickens?
We have a run, an outdoor area connected to our coop, so
Right.
when you're saying, are you saying 10 feet per chicken?
In the
No,
run?
that's in the coop. This is in the run.
10 square feet in the run, per chicken in the run, in the fenced-in area. At
We
least,
cannot have that. I
at
mean,
least.
It's a large space, but to have 10 feet per chicken in a run that's attached is,
10 square feet.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's absurd, but it's just my opinion.
This is
If
big-
we have something detached, do you want me to come up?
Yeah.
here? Sorry. If we were to have like a portable one, then we would go something bigger. But like the way ours is set up was we have our coop, so we have our building that's enclosed.
Mm-hmm.
But attached to that, our chickens can go in and out when it's nice out.
Right.
So is that considered a run? Or is that considered part of the coop? I mean,
That would be the run,
That was the run.
I would say,
okay,
not being a
okay.
chicken guy, but
yeah.
I
I
would say
mean-
that's the run. That goes outside. They can get out, they can access it from the coop, but it's actually outside. And then we're talking 400 square feet.
How big of an area
As a
is your
maximum.
fenced-in area
This
outside
is
the
where I
coop?
really wish Butch was here. He would have those numbers. I don't have them off the
Okay.
top of my head. I wish, but like I said, he would have that. He couldn't make it, but I can get them to you. I mean, I feel,
I think that, yeah. I'm
I
sorry.
feel that the building space, the coop, and the outdoor area that we have is sufficient
Right.
to the chickens that we have but I also have said, as our chickens die off, we're getting out of this whole business.
Right.
So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it seems like a lot of space. I mean,
Yeah.
you figure with eight hens, 50 square feet per hen is 400 square feet.
Right.
That's a lot of area for
Yeah.
one chicken to run around.
And we may fit in that. I don't know. Like I said, Butch would have those
It's
numbers.
just,
I don't have them.
it's just a number, you know, if you're.
Yeah.
The 8 to 10 square feet in the run is information that I pulled from chicken websites and stuff and
Right.
what their recommendations are. The 3 to 4 square feet in the coop is also what I've pulled from the recommendations of different chicken websites.
Right.
So I mean, I want you to know, I just
Yeah.
didn't
No, I know. I
throw
understand
that
that.
out there.
I think we
It's
want-
I just
the
didn't-
information that I compiled from that.
My only thing is the differentiating because I think there's the portable runs there's a thing, and then there's also, we have this outdoor area that's connected to our coop.
Right.
In my mind, I feel like that's part of the coop because they're out there, there's a door and they can go in and out.
Right,
So in
right.
my mind, that's part of the coop, that's not part of the, like a portable run.
Right.
If we were to go take them to our backyard, it would be a portable run, then that would be bigger, because the idea is to let them feed on the grass and eat bugs and do whatever. So I think there's two different
Yeah,
things.
it's, I think we get
Maybe.
into semantics a lot. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, what's a coop and what's a run?
Right, right.
And if they're in the coop and but they go out of the door, are they now in the run, or are they in the yard, or are they in
Right.
the
Right.
bathroom, or where
Right.
they are, you know, where are they hiding, so.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's,
think-
I see both sides. If you have specific numbers, size, or do you trust the chicken owners to get a good setup? I see both sides. I do.
I think 400
Not all
square
chicken
feet is
owners
plenty.
Are gonna be
Yeah.
responsible though, Jennifer.
Right,
That's
and
what you
I-
have to watch for.
And I thought about that too, and I know you're talking about the neighbors having concerns. Most people that have 2 acres are not gonna have neighbors close to them. If you pull out the city map or whatever,
Right.
that's my thinking is, you're not gonna have a lot of close neighbors. I mean, you have us 3 that don't have direct neighbors next to us, so, and I don't know what other residents in Hampton of 2 acres look like, of how close they would be to neighbors, so, I don't know. If you were looking directly in city limits, absolutely, you gotta be thinking of the neighbors, but, I don't know, 2 acres, you're not gonna have close neighbors, but.
Okay.
Another thing just to think of is, there's a lot of specifics with the chickens, and I get it completely. I appreciate this conversation and where we're at. But the other thing is, like, what kind of specifications are there for dog owners? And we have a lot more dogs in Hampton than we do chickens, and chickens are chickens, and dogs are, your family pets. But, so,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the only place I go there is that we've already got ordinances for dogs.
Yeah.
And we've already got
Right.
versus vicious dogs ordinances and all
Yeah.
that stuff for dogs. So
Yeah.
this is pretty specific to chickens.
Yep. No, I understand that. No.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're deciding like 3 or 4 or 8 or 10? I mean,
From the references that I've read, the chicken coop is the dwelling that they go into
Right.
at night. And you should allow 3 to 4 square feet of floor space per chicken.
right.
The run is the area that they're in, the fenced-in area that they're in, outside of the coop. It's not part of the coop. And they recommend 8 to 10 square feet per bird.
I think we should go with the
It should be
4 and the
400
10.
square
Go with
feet
the,
for 8 birds.
Pick a number and.
I think we should
I
go
think
with the
that's-
max
I think
is
that's
where I'm
cover
at,
for
4 and 10.
That would cover for the run, I think, 400 square
You could
feet.
say for the run, provide a minimum of 10 square feet of space per bird. That would be a minimum. 10, if they want to have more, they can. If you want to put a maximum on it, so,
But not your whole yard.
yeah.
I think 400 square feet is plenty of space for, maximum space for 8 chickens to run around. It's just me. We got the da-da-da.
One thing, under number 1A, Jerry, first sentence, residents are allowed to keep domestic chickens in all residential zoning districts. I think we should state their residential use properties, because the
That's
one that bought the
totally fine.
McSweeney, that's not residential, so they wouldn't be allowed to. So I think we should say, if the property is used as residential use, then,
Yeah, that totally
okay.
could change.
Okay.
And while we're on the, how many square feet of space for per bird, on this one.
We
I
have
think
the 3 to 4. I think we should go with 4.
I think we scratched it off of ours, because to me, I mean, this is where it goes back to we're not the ASPCA, so we're not gonna police, the chicken owners are gonna know, you guys know what you have for chickens and what they need and where they're at. I don't know that we
But
need
why-
to
but
specify
why-
that.
why scratch that one, and why did we talk about the 10-foot? I mean, to me, it's all or nothing.
Inside or outside?
Well, I still
think-
say
I
all
think
or
what-
nothing.
I
fine.
really
That's
feel
fine.
like what you keep going back on is assuming that the chicken owners are gonna be responsible.
That's what we got a
like
lot of
these-
assuming here.
Yeah, we can't
There
do
is.
that. That's why I'm so specific about it. You
Right.
can't assume that, because you know you're gonna get somebody that's not responsible. So they have to have guidelines to
But
follow.
we're gonna tell them whether they can have chickens or
Okay.
not. So that should vet out at the beginning before they either get a yes or no. I mean, in my opinion.
Okay, say that again?
I said, we should vet them out if they're gonna be good chicken owners before we say, yes, you can have chicken, or no, you can't. So if we could realize that somebody, well, we don't think they're gonna do as good as Jennifer does to take care of her chickens, no, you can't have chickens.
How can you
That's-
do that?
That's because it's up to us. It's up to the city council whether they can have chicken or not. Is it not? Am I missing something?
I feel like you're just making a judgment call on
No.
somebody based on,
No, I ain't making
They
a judgment on
are.
it because we don't have anybody in front of us wanting to get chickens. But
Okay.
when it does, that's our job to vet that out, in my opinion. I'm not making a judgment on anybody.
I think before they even come to us and ask for a permit, they need to be set up to have chickens.
What if we don't let them
That's
have
why they need
chickens?
to be inspected. Okay, yeah, they're ready to have chickens.
But what if we don't let them have chickens?
Then we know that they're responsible people. Because they've done this. They've gone through the steps.
So we kind of got the cart between the, or before the horse, I think, there.
But if we.
Set up for chickens, but now we're gonna talk to you and see if we were gonna let you have chickens. But now you're already set up for them.
Will they?
That's the
Or will
million-dollar
they just bring the
question.
chickens home?
Yeah, I don't, it's up, like I said, it's you guys' ordinance. What do you want? What do you want in there?
I agree with Jim. I think we should make the all-inclusive list and then go down through it and decide what we should strike and what we should keep.
Okay, that's kind of what we're doing.
But we got two lists going here.
Right, that's what we're trying to get to one.
Well, that's why I think we should include the 3 to 4, like go with 4. I think we need to include everything in there now.
I just want to go back to the size. So I want to verify. So you're saying 3 to 4 square feet for an indoor coop? Is that right? And then
That's
you
what it
went
says.
up
Yes, the
to,
coop or enclosure.
okay, so then, but for the run, you want 10, minimum of 10 square feet? Is that right?
That's what it says, yeah.
So it's a much larger space per chicken for the run. But the way, like I said, the way that we are set up, our chickens, our indoor coop, we fit that. But then our run that we have included, with a door, they can go in and out, so they have more space. It's that's not connecting for me, as far as your 10 square feet for the run. If,
If you had 8 hens and they each had 10 square feet, that would be 80 square feet, correct?
In the coop.
In the run, which, I mean, 8 foot by 10 foot, that'll get you 80 square feet, am I correct? Yeah. So 8 foot by 10 foot, your fenced in area, is it?
ours, but he's listening, he says our run is 6 by 10. So we have 8.
60.
But like I said, the fact that they can go between the indoor coop and the outdoor coop, it would be enough space. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
When you put the two spaces together, we have it. But if they're all
This
outside at the
separates
same
them, though.
time.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
calls
how do you
for,
wanna do it?
yeah.
Okay, I just don't want to get this far and then come back and be like, nope, you can't
No.
have them. So that's all I got, sorry.
All right, thank you. So, the run up here says 8 hens, 50 square feet, 400 square feet. Maximum outside. Seems reasonable. And then down here is a minimum of 4 square feet chicken, but not lower than 12 square feet. And I think that is in the coop. Like I said, people that have chickens are gonna know if the chickens are in the right place. If this works, we put it in our ordinance.
I
It's up
think-
to you guys.
I think number 3 in the mayor's setting a maximum of 400 square feet for the fenced-in area outside the coop is more from a perspective of, we don't want things getting out of control from the neighbor, the neighbors watching, and if you're getting over 400 square foot, then they're gonna start complaining. But yours is from the perspective of the chicken. We wanna make sure the chicken has at least, 3 square feet. So it's coming from different angles, but
It doesn't have to be 10 feet. The recommendations are 8 to 10 square
Yeah.
feet. So if you back
can
off
lower
and
it.
do 8,
Yeah,
and
that's
it
just the
isn't
maximum.
it isn't just from the perspective of the chicken, it's from the perspective of, well, okay, it is. It's for the chicken, it is, that's the kind of space they require. But again, I want to be specific about it so that we're not being abused, run over, letting people get away with stuff.
Right.
I mean, if we're not specific about it from the get-go,
Okay.
people are going to go in a million different directions. And not every person that owns a chicken is going to be a responsible, knowledgeable chicken owner.
Right. So do we want to combine them two? The 400 square feet and the coop size, or do we just want to have them both on there? I don't think they're gonna hurt us to have them both on there.
we can say 3 for the chicken coop, must provide 3 square feet per bird, and the run must provide 8 square feet per bird, or 6. The number's up to you guys.
Yeah, just throw a number, we'll throw it in there.
We go 3 on the coop and 8 on the run.
And that's minimal.
Yeah.
Minimum.
And that works for me because it falls
That's
within the
fine.
Done.
guidelines of the recommendations for the chickens.
Done. Good deal. What else we got? In the rear of the yard, we've got the side, the space. We've got that. What else do we need?
I think we just about have it pounded out.
I think everything on the first step, I mean, the list that Ron and I came up with is pretty much, so basically, we're down to, is there anything in the ongoing requirements that we just want it all in there? Or is there something that doesn't need to be in there?
Well, the lawyer's gonna weed out what's duplicate with other codes, so they're gonna take care of that. I'm not worried about that.
How are we gonna know if they're collecting their eggs daily?
Right.
We won't know. But if the neighbors complain that it stinks over there, and our code enforcement officer takes a look and there's eggs all over the place, we know now that the eggs have not been collected daily and they are in violation of the ordinance. I think, I need to go back and look at the neglect portion of our ordinance.
So we can leave it in there. I mean, it's up to you guys. If you want them in or out, we can,
I don't know if you're gonna be able to smell it on 2 acres.
right.
worse than the manure.
Yeah. I think on Jerry's list, the coop run and surrounding area must be kept clean. I don't think we need that on there because we're covered under 5514 of our current ordinance. Again, my opinion. And also on the chicken's feed being in rodent-proof containers, it's also covered. Slaughtering and chickens and selling eggs are prohibited. Complying with the city or nor noise ordinance is required. We can leave it in there. I don't know if it's gonna be that loud, but it's up to you guys. Okay, anything else?
No, I think that what's gonna happen is, we can list several things, whatever you just mentioned. And I think that at the end of the whole document, the lawyer's gonna have in what's not covered here goes into the other code. So I think that's how they're gonna do it. I'd rather have it listed. They can take it out. They're gonna know.
Are we good where we're at? So we got everything we need? We're good? Okay. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Real quick, parking regulations on the 300 block of Third Avenue Southeast. This is the ordinance that we were putting in place for no parking on the couple streets that I vetoed. The veto has now expired, so we need to put an ordinance together for that street. Whether we covered the other piece in there with the Quick Star and another reading. I think we have a third reading on Thursday night. So that one's done. This is just for the Third Avenue Southeast from 3rd Street to 4th Street. We just need to know, I think with the initial conversation we had on that was that if we, I think the picture that Ron provided, if we provide, if I get them right side up, if we made no parking there's already no parking on the north side to the alley, if we made no parking on the south side to the alley, that from my recollection was that would alleviate the congestion coming off the highway. Is everybody okay with that, or do we need to revise that, or what would we like in the ordinance?
Mayor,
Yes.
I think, Barry brought this forward. I kind of like his opinion first on it and go from there.
Well, I've suffered the consequences of the first action. We've got a property owner that has 8 vehicles. He's parking in the street, so he's gonna be parking in the street, doesn't matter where the no parking is.
Right.
So we're wasting our time.
Well, I think if we look at the safety concern coming off of the highway, we need to have the no parking on both sides for half a block. We can't take away, I don't think we can take away all their street parking because people use it, and that's what it's there for. I mean, I would think the half a block north and south side would alleviate the congestion coming off. Are the people going to have to wait maybe sometimes when they go by there? Yeah, they're going to wait, but that happens all through Hampton. Our streets aren't like freeways, so there's times when there's somebody's parking, you got to wait to go around. So, I mean, I would be okay with the no parking on the north and south side from the alley to 4th Street. Anybody got
I'd agree.
good with that?
And my concern's the safety turning and going onto the highway, so I would agree with what you said.
Everybody okay with that?
I'm more concerned about the safety coming from the highway onto the side street, the school bus.
Yep,
So
Yep.
it works both ways, but
yeah,
that's.
so that
was my
opens
angle.
it, that opens that up, hopefully.
Yeah, so.
Barry, you okay with that?
Like Bill would say, I think it's a fiasco. We're not
Yeah.
dealing with the root problem there.
Right. I mean, the guys parking on the street, that's one thing. I think we gotta look at the safety aspect of coming off that highway and coming off the on the highway, and having that cleared out, so. Everybody okay with, yeah, go ahead.
Or do we say 50 feet from the curb, 100 feet from the curb? I don't know how long that is from the alley to the highway. Maybe it is 50 feet or 100 feet, but
I don't know.
I still think I still think that this is, north and south through the alley is adequate.
Think that work? It's a fiasco. Bill, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It sounds to me like the major concern is during the school hours, getting the kids on and off the bus and picking them up in the afternoons. So couldn't we just put some of those signs that say no parking between such and such a time and cover more area to provide more protection for the kids? And still allow the
Well-
individual to park his vehicles there except for the school hours?
I don't think we're doing him any favor by adding that, by putting that there. I think this takes care of the safety issue,
Okay.
pulling the bus out there.
Well,
And-
you've got problems with other vehicles.
Right.
Other than a bus.
Yeah,
Transit vehicle, you got,
Yeah.
it's a through street.
yeah.
City workers use that with, big trucks.
The problem is, it ain't any wider than any of other streets, so, so it's something that we gotta deal with. Gary,
I'm good.
you good? I mean, the general consensus says no parking north and south side from Fourth Street southeast to the alley. We're good there?
Okay.
Okay. So we'll get the ordinance drawn up. We can probably do the first reading Thursday night. If we want to get that moving too, so. All right, thank you, guys. One more item. City manager recommendation to designate public works employment handbook coverage.
Yeah, so the city union employees, which is basically two bargaining units, one for Public Works, one for the police department. The Public Works bargaining unit has dissolved. This action officially happened this fall. We were notified by PERB that the union was dissolved. So we, as a council, have to recognize that in some sort of official capacity. And so I recommend that at the council meeting Thursday, that we have a motion, second, and approval to recognize that union is now dissolved, and that Public Works employees will be 100% covered under the employee handbook. There'll be, no other side union agreement. So I'm recommending putting that on Thursday.
Any questions on that one? Everybody okay with that?
I'd like to see a copy of the handbook.
Yeah, certainly.
All right. Let's
Okay.
put it on there.
That's all.
And
Yeah.
then give Barry a copy and
Mhm.
it's good to go. I only got one more thing. We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.